Because when we're talking about mixed signals, relationships are nothing but a reflection of the mirror. So if you're finding it challenging to communicate to that person, oftentimes you can find where you're being challenged to communicate toward yourself. Maybe you're not spending enough time by yourself to communicate with yourself. Maybe you're not asking yourself, how would you like to be communicated to? Maybe you're just not communicating to yourself at all, and you're just finding yourself in constant distractions, never being able to listen to the internal thoughts that are going on, because you know that the internal thoughts that are going on are not very nice thoughts, so we try to drown them out by staying distracted. This quote challenges us to reflect upon ourselves. So any challenge that you're facing externally is only a challenge that you're facing internally. It's saying, I have to be responsible for my internal world if I want my external world to be better. What is up, my dear friends, and welcome back to another episode of Honey, I'm Home. Today, we are discussing a little bit about how we can begin to deal with some of the mixed signals that we face, especially trying to get back into another relationship. These mixed signals can throw us off, keep us confused, lost, and alone, and not knowing where to go. But I'm going to make this a little bit more fun because I'm going to give you some insight to the man's mind, because I'm a man, so it just only makes sense for me to give you the perspective of, what we think about when we're offering you those mixed signals, and also give you a little bit of a game plan on how you can work through those if you're currently dealing with those mixed signals. But before we dive into today's episode, I want to make sure that you understand the importance of the difference between Honey, I'm Home and the Happy Heart Academy. So Honey, I'm Home is my podcast. Like I said, I appreciate you all being here and riding this transition with me. For those of you that have stuck around, I hope that your time spent with me is well worth it. And I hope that you find this podcast helpful, encouraged, supporting, and uplifting. And if you do, be sure to share it out with 1, 2, 3 of your friends, or perhaps go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to the podcast at, and be sure to leave a review on the podcast so that it reaches more homes and more hearts. But Honey, I'm Home is the podcast, and Happy Heart Academy is the business that you can go to get educated on your relationships, how to move on, how to heal, how to rebuild with relationship with yourself, and how to create a hope-filled future, a future that excites you. And today, in dealing with all of the mixed signals that life has to offer, I want to start off by talking about a quote from my book, The Big Three. And the Big Three I wrote from a place of hurt, right? I was at a wounded place in my life when I wrote this book, and it was a guide that was created to help me find me after I felt like I lost myself. Because when I felt like I lost myself, I wasn't sure how to really rebuild a relationship with myself. Where do I begin with that? Or how do I build a relationship with others when others are the very people that hurt me? Or how do I trust or believe in God when I've never seen, taste, touched, or felt God in my life? Like, how do I actually build these relationships? Because I stumbled upon this philosophy and this great idea that the quality of life we live directly reflects the relationships we have in our life. And, if we want to build a good relationship or a good life, we need to build a good relationship. And we really don't know how to do that. Most of us don't have the foundational principles that can guide us to building happier and healthier relationships. Because simply put, we're not taught this stuff. And so I'm here as your guide to teach you on how to build better relationships with yourself, others, and God, so that you can live a better quality of life and experience richer relationships in your life. But not only that, I'm here to help you to become a better leader, lover, and supporter in your own home. And today, in regards to dealing with mixed signals, I want to start off with a quote from my book. It's actually chapter 1, and it's all about part 1, key to building a relationship with yourself. And I talked about, how the most important relationship you will ever have is a relationship you have with yourself, for it will set the tone for every other relationship you will ever have. Now, I really want you to sit down and think about that for a moment, because when we're talking about mixed signals, relationships are nothing but a reflection of the mirror. So if you're finding it challenging to communicate to that person, oftentimes you can find where you're being challenged to communicate toward yourself. Maybe you're not spending enough time by yourself to communicate with yourself. Maybe you're not asking yourself, how would you like to be communicated to? Maybe you're just not communicating to yourself at all, and you're just finding yourself in constant distractions, never being able to listen to the internal thoughts that are going on, because you know that the internal thoughts that are going on are not very nice thoughts, so we try to drown them out by staying distracted. This quote challenges us to reflect upon ourselves. So any challenge that you're facing externally is only a challenge that you're facing internally. It's saying, I have to be responsible for my internal world if I want my external world to be better. And today, in regards to dealing with mixed signals, I need you to understand that it's really, there's nothing mixed about them, especially from the man's perspective. Yesterday, I wrote up a quote that I want to share with you on my Instagram. And basically I said, not talking for all men, but we men are pretty clear if we want to be with you or not. If there's mixed signals, then that's an answer. We just don't want you. And I got a lot of good interaction with this. But let me say that again, because I don't want you to miss this. If you're going through a difficult time right now in your relationship because you feel mixed, you don't feel certain, you feel confused, you feel like there's some mixed signals going on, like it's been a hit or miss, I don't want to talk for all men because I'm not all men, and I communicate very clearly and effectively toward my wife because communication is the key to all failed relationships, because you're not communicating enough, vulnerably enough, transparently enough, and therefore the relationship ends up falling apart. So not talking for all men, but we men are pretty clear if we want you or not. If there's any type of mixed signals, then that's an answer. We don't want you. You see, I went on to talk about how when men want something or want someone, we make it very clear. I think we're very territorial and action-driven. We don't mess around when we declare and commit to taking what is ours. So if a man is currently giving you mixed signals, I would ask you to do a couple of things, and we'll talk about the game plan on how you can work through dealing with your mixed signals. But what I really want to talk to you today about is what I wrote up with this, and I don't think that there's any better way to say it than what I wrote. And I said, advice to my women out there that tune into this. Now, I'm not talking for all men out there, but I am speaking for the majority of men when I say this. If a man wants you, he won't make it so confusing on you. We men have simple minds, especially when it comes to wanting something. We make it obvious. We make it sure. We make a decision, and we pursue it until we get it. We are conquerors. We are a fighter, and we are willing to do whatever we must do in order to win you over, if we're really that into you. If we are not into you, and we don't want to hurt you by speaking up and telling you how we truly feel, I know you will feel confused. Now, in this, if your man that you're currently pursuing is giving you mixed signals, as a woman, I would recommend that you walk away from that man. Only because what woman wants a man who can't verbally express his truth because he's fearful to hurt you? If he's fearful to speak something to you, do you think he's going to be a great leader for your home, for your future, for your kids? If this man that you're falling for can't even speak his own truth, knowing that he doesn't want to be with you, but he's keeping you kind of at bay enough to keep you confused and around, do you think he's really a good leader, a lover, a server, a man that you want to fall in love with and build a life with? I don't think it's always black and white. I do believe that there's gray areas, but this is what I'm certain about. I am certain that when men know what they want, they make it obvious if they are true to themselves. Now, if your man is currently keeping you in that confused state and you're dealing with these mixed signals, I need you to understand that mixed signals are just negative signals in disguise. That's all that they are. You know that you're not feeling good about it. So any signal that you're currently getting, a mixed signal, is a negative signal. It's a red flag. And most of the time, if you really want to understand men, you got to understand that men are action takers more than they are speakers, okay? Meaning that their actions will speak louder than their words. So if your man is not showing up for you in the way that they're saying that they will, this is a red flag, and I would tell you to walk away. But here's a couple of things that I want you to take away from this message today. It's going to be a quick message because here's the end of the argument. This is the only message I want you to get clear, is that if they want you, they'll make it clear. That's it. If they're not making it clear to you, then you're holding on to something that is not yet a true reality. You're holding on to a hope-filled reality of what your future could like with them because you're a broken individual, because you're acting from a place of your hurt rather than your heart. Your heart goes into a relationship to serve. Your hurt goes into a relationship to take. And you're holding on to them only because you're too worried or too fearful to be alone. You don't want to be alone. So you'd rather hold on to the thought of what they could be and who you two could be than actually doing what's right, which is to remove yourself from the situation and continue to be like, hey, I'm going to be all right. If this guy's not my guy, somebody else is going to be much better and much more suited for my liking. But honestly, I would challenge any guy that's listening to this to start to speak the hell up. I think most men need to start speaking up and talking verbally, communicating authentically and transparently their truth. Like, you can't call yourself a man if you can't speak your truth, in my eyes. If I have to hide something, if I have to sit in a gray area about something or over something, it's oftentimes because I don't have confidence. It's because I am living in fear. It's because I can't lead myself and I don't have enough trust in myself to know what I want because I haven't spent enough time alone in solitude to know what I want. And that, for me, I would never want my wife to feel like I am not a man that she could turn to at any time to get a clear answer about, on anything. I don't want her to run to another man or another person to get an answer that she come to me for. So the man that's giving you mixed signals, that's your answer. He doesn't want you. It's plain as day in my reality, because I used to be that guy. I kept people around in my life because I could, quote unquote, have the cake and to eat it too. I can have the best of both worlds. I can have her in my life and still get what I want from her without committing to her. Well, why would I want anything different? I don't have to commit and go through a potential heartbreak because my communication is unclear enough to prove to her that, hey, maybe I am not that ready to commit because I don't want to get hurt and I don't want to hurt you. So why don't we just be friends with benefits, and hey, everyone's happy. And then what happens is most of the time, the women will fall in love with the man or fall for the man, and the man never wants anything because he's getting everything that he wants. He doesn't need a committed relationship in order to get what he wants. And that's where I'm asking women to start standing up and protecting themselves from guys like who I used to be back in 2015, 16, and 17. Prior to meeting my wife, I was a different man. I was a different kid. I was a different guy. I'm not proud of that guy. But the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because there's a lot of guys that are out there that are like who I used to be. And I'm just speaking to you and sharing with you who I used to be so that I can save you from experiencing those types of guys. So there's men out there that if you're willing to give up yourself to them, they're not going to commit to you, and they're always going to keep you confused because they're getting everything that they want, and you're the one that's offering it to them. You think that in your offering that they will commit to you. No, this is the reason why they won't commit to you. Why would they? Once again, they're getting everything that they want. And here's what I'm saying. You hold the power in this relationship, and sometimes men can't be men. Men can't lead themselves. Men are too fearful to be alone. So here's what I need you to do if you're dealing with mixed signals. Number one, I need you to take off the hope-filled glasses and see reality, and see the reality as it truly is, not what you want it to be. You see, you're holding on to all of this hope that, this relationship could really work out. He's such a great guy. There's these rose-colored glasses that you currently got on because you're starting to create him to be the person you want him to be, but he's really not that person, so you're hurting yourself in the long run. You're only seeing what you want to see. You're not seeing the reality for what it truly is. And I need you to sit down with yourself to see reality for what it really is. See him for who he really is. Is he giving you everything that you want, need, and desire? Is he showing up? Is he being consistent? Is he being direct? Is he communicating properly enough to make sure that he's leading you in the right direction and the right path because you're looking to be led in the essence of hey, are we something or are we not something? So you've got to find yourself in a position where you can separate yourself enough from the relationship so that you can figure out whether or not the reality is true or it's fake, because you've created this false reality of hoping and praying that he'll turn around and be the man that you want him to be, not who he truly is. That's the first thing. When you spend some time alone and really getting clear on telling yourself the truth, I think inevitably you're going to find yourself out of that relationship or that potential relationship or that potential mixed signals, because mixed signals are nothing but negative signals in disguise. Number 2 is you got to say what needs to be said or just ask the question that needs to be asked, okay? So if a man can't speak up for himself and tell you like you're feeling these mixed emotions and the man's not coming to you and telling you, hey, I don't know about this. I don't think we're really vibing. There's something about this relationship that I'm just not liking, and I don't know if I can see a future with you. If he's not giving you that when you're experiencing all these mixed signals, you need to ask him. You need to, unfortunately, man up and take ownership and take leadership of that situation. The person who's most aware is the most responsible, okay? So if you're aware that there's a lot of mixed signals going on and he's not saying anything, it's your responsibility to go to him and speak your truth. Ask yourself and him those questions. That's what you need to do. You need to, unfortunately, go to him instead of waiting for him to be the man, waiting for him to communicate effectively, waiting for him to open up transparently. You need to be like, hey, listen, like, you're a dud. You're sending me all these mixed signals and I don't like it. Like, you know what I'm talking about. You text me a hit or miss. You leave me on you read my text messages and then you look at my Instagram story all in the same, moment, but you never get back to me. So like, I'm kind of confused on where we stand. What's your deal? Like, you've got to be direct. Teach him how to be direct. Sometimes my wife had to teach me on how to lead her, and I'm cool with that. Like, I myself have to learn relationships while I'm in the relationship. So my wife sometimes had to direct me on our early stages of our relationship that helped me to become a better leader for her, a better lover for her, a better husband for her, a better future, father to her kids one day. So hear me out. Sometimes you just need to stand up for yourself and say what needs to be said and be very direct. And if he's still leaving you in mixed signals, just walk away. Save yourself some time, energy, and effort. Because here's what happens. If you hold on to this hope-filled future and creating the guy that you only want to see, you'll find yourself 1 to 2 years down the road even more broken and hurt than you already are. And last but not least, women, I need you to trust your gut. I need you to trust your gut, your heart, and your instincts, whatever you want to call it. I'm telling you, there's something internal about a woman's knowingness that is normally right. If your gut or instinct or heart is telling you that there's something going on here that's not setting well with you, stand up for yourself, stick up for yourself, and just trust that your heart is leading you in the right direction. Because most of the time you know before even the man knows. Because men are always just confused and sometimes unaware, baboons that just don't understand what the heck's going on. Sometimes that's the case. They're like, oh, really? I didn't know I was giving you those signals. Like, he doesn't even know what mixed signals are. He's such a baboon. So, like, ultimately, what I need you to do is just trust your heart, trust your gut, trust yourself, trust your instincts, build that connection with yourself. You have these motherly instincts within your internal heart, meaning this feminine energy that's within you that can direct you to save you, to keep you safe, to keep your loved ones safe. Use that. Use that power within yourself. I have that. You have that. We all have those traits, but most women are more intuitive than men. So I'm asking you to just trust yourself. I'm asking you to take off the hope-filled glasses and stop creating him to be this perfect man for you when he's really not. I need you to start asking him the questions or saying the very things that need to be said in order for you to get to the truth and to the bottom of it before you waste any more time. And you finally just need to trust yourself. This is a message from a man to you. And men, here's what I need you to, do. I've been talking to the ladies up until this point, but men, hear me out. If you're listening to this, if you're truly a good man, stop playing around. Stop messing with their emotions and with their heart and with their goodies. Like, get serious about them, about life, about love. Communicate more effectively. Be vulnerable. Listen, I don't share this story with you because I feel like it makes me look good, because it really doesn't. But let me tell you what happens when you are vulnerable and a great communicator as a man to the person that you want to pursue. So back in like the summer of 2017, I went back home. My wife and I were just dating at the time. And I went back home and spent the weekend there with a couple of buddies, just maybe like 3 or 4 of my guy friends. we went to the pool, we hung out, we went to the garage and drank some beers, and then we went out to some bars, and we just had a good time. No intentions were made there. I was just there to have a good time with my bros. Okay. And I ended up going to one bar and where I ran into like my ex-girlfriend, right? There's some girl that I always pursued, but we never committed to one another. And when I saw her, we got to talking and catching up, and it caused me these emotions when I was dating my now wife. And in that moment of like all of these emotions started to rise, I started to think about her more. I started to I'm like, well, maybe I miss her. Maybe I want to be with her. Maybe maybe I'm not supposed to be with Nicole. Maybe I'm supposed to be with, my ex-girlfriend. All of these emotions came up and I felt terrible, and so what I did is I went back to my home in Pittsburgh, later that Sunday, and I sat Nicole down. And I thought it was going to be a screaming match, to be honest with you. I thought as soon as I say this, she's going to leave me, and she has every right to leave me, and it's not going to be a good conversation. And it was really, I didn't want to have it because have you ever heard the saying, like, what is it? What mama doesn't know, don't hurt her, right? So it's like, I didn't have to tell her, but I knew something wasn't sitting well with me. And so I sat her down and I said, hey, listen, I ran into my ex. I caught feelings for her. I don't know what this means. I don't know what this is about. We just were at the bar and we hung out, and, that's all the further that I went, but it sparked emotion in me. And I was really vulnerable and transparent with what I had to say to her because I didn't want her to see that I'm becoming distant because my mind was confused on who to kind of like pursue and what to pursue. I didn't want that to be the case for her, and I didn't want to put her in that confused state of mind. So I needed to tell her exactly what I was experiencing, and that wasn't easy for me as a man to say because first thing, I didn't need to say it. Secondly, most men wouldn't say it. And lastly, my relationship with Nicole was perfect at the time. I didn't want to cause any disturbance. Well, truthfully, what happened was after I told her that, she was crying and she was scared. She was hurt because we knew we were each other's one, but like I wasn't sure what this was about. But the way that she met me with love and grace of like just listening to me and just telling me like, hey, we're going to get through this. I know you'll figure it out. Like, I don't want to lose you, but like, I'm here for you. And you have every right to feel that way. Like, who wouldn't feel that way? She made me feel heard and listened to and respected. She didn't yell at me, scream at me, call me names, and, call me a cheater and a liar and a deceiver and whatever else that she could have done. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just explaining to her my vulnerability, and she didn't attack me in doing so. And that built my trust with her. And that was one of the biggest moments that I knew that she was going to be my wife, and that my mind was made up because of the way that she received and then communicated that to me. It was a beautiful way. And why I'm saying this is, men, sometimes your honest, truthful, transparent form of communication is going to allow her to show up in a way that you need her to show up and give you all of the trust that you need within her to know that she's your person that you need to pursue. So be more transparent and open with your communication. Talk more, communicate more. Talk about all of the things that you don't want to talk about and say the things that you don't want to say so you can free yourself from all the baggage that you're carrying. The more vulnerable you are with your person, the more intimate you'll become with your person. The more connected you'll become with that person. The better you will feel that you can just be everything that you are and everything that you are not, and you'll just be so open and fluid with them that life just feels great because you get to be yourself with them. You're not trying to be someone else. So, my friends, I just hope that this message finds you today. And if there is a person out there giving you mixed signals, I hope that the one of the 3 steps kind of helps you in any way, shape, or form. But because here's what I know is that when men know what they want, they will do everything in their power to go get it and let very little things stop them from achieving it. So he's either not a man and he's still a boy, or you just need to walk away. So regardless of where you're at, I hope that you found this message helpful, supportive, encouraging, and uplifting. And if you did, once again, my dear friends, be sure to share it out with 1, 2, or 3 of your friends who are currently maybe going through this, or maybe, that are struggling with this right now. And if you would do me a great honor and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the podcast at, because that helps me reach more homes and more hearts. My name is Tylerjoestratton, and this is Honey, I'm Home.